Tom McMahon. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the AirCarbon Exchange. The legacy of exchanges is global. Different marketplaces have been scaled over time. Very often markets are scaled in isolation. Carbon as an asset class and what we're addressing at AirCarbon cannot scale in isolation. The key is about interoperability and portability. If you look back, and I'll make this very quick, the reality is that back in 1992, when the world met in Rio de Janeiro for the first of the vision of what hopefully would have been a more rapid decarbonization effort around the world, no one knew what the world was going to look like as it is today, and here we are 30 years later. The very first COP was in 1995 in Berlin, so COP #1, and we're just finishing up COP 27. What is the opportunity in the next year as we head towards COP 28? And AirCarbon, and what we're going to talk about now, is just really we want to be intrinsically in part of that and embedded in it. The AirCarbon journey began in 2018. My legacy comes out of New York and Wall Street and commodities industry. I was a member of the board of directors of NYMEX and NYBOT, and now the aggregated CME group, and I've traded on multiple exchanges, and I've had the opportunity to build a number of them. My first one in the region was in 2004 in Dubai, the DME. And fast forward to today, we're in, if you want to call it, about a crisis mode in terms of climate, but more importantly, the voluntary carbon market had no frameworks other than the methodologies. It had no standards for trade, had no standards for financialization or financing. So we saw the opportunity to take the opacity out of the market, take the friction out of the market, build a standard of execution on a hybrid exchange model. So we employ blockchain, distributed ledger architecture, asset-backed tokenization, custody, and trust architectures for the underlying holding. And we've adopted traditional markets architecture of a trade, settlement, the ability to buy, sell, trade, hold, and transfer, and retire carbon in a single platform. And that's AirCarbon in a nutshell. What we're doing today and what we're going to talk about, I only have 3 minutes, so it'll be very short what I'm going to talk about. The reality is the opportunity that was given to us 2 years ago, in February of 2020, we were invited here to get a look at Hub 71. We had no idea what it was. It was an invitation to basically an incubator. There were a lot of them around the world. We didn't know if this was going to be different or unique. As it turns out, it has been. And then COVID happened. So in February, we couldn't continue the conversation, and then several months later, it was able to pick up when we had a gap in COVID, and we brought our first employee out here, who's now the head, the SEO of AirCarbon, and he's sitting here in the front row, and I know a number of you met him in the room. Well, the team has grown substantially since then, and the key was a year ago I came here and I had a meeting with the FSRA and ADGM, and we put a plan in place cooperatively on both sides to say, could we bring a marketplace to Abu Dhabi? Could we bring it to ADGM? Could we bring an iteration or an instance of AirCarbon, which was operating in Singapore at the time, to Abu Dhabi? The answer was yes. What grew out of that was not just an instance or an extension of. The announcement today is that AirCarbon is here. We are now, as of this week, a fully regulated voluntary carbon market exchange. So, and what that means is it's actually the first in the world. There are exchanges that trade voluntary markets on a futurized version. No one has done it as a standalone exchange. No one has taken the focus to put regulation around it. ADGM, FSRA, and as well as the Hub 71 folks really gave us the support and the iteration to do it. But from a regulatory perspective, they took a lead. Voluntary carbon credits may be transacted, but they're actually not regulated in entities like in the United States or in the UK or in Singapore, where we incubated it here. The key was, could you get recognition, and it was mentioned earlier by Emmanuel from the ADGM, recognition of it as a fully regulated financial instrument, that an issued carbon credit is a spot commodity. It changes the nature of how you can finance carbon projects, transact it, use it as a collateral, and put it into portfolios alongside of other assets. So this will allow for the unlocking of finance, clearly about trade, but it will really become a pricing center. Excuse me. So, and I'll wrap up. I have 25 seconds. We think it's appropriate. It's a new day for carbon. It's a new day for Abu Dhabi, and it's definitively a new day for AirCarbon. So we've created a new logo and a new brand. So, and here it is. And we're introducing it here first, and it'll be our lead, and it'll be our brand in Abu Dhabi from this day forward, and also for ACX globally. So thank you very much.